I was calling about, you were talking about the January 6th pardons. Do you think they would have all been necessary if Biden did not pardon all the Jan 6 committee?
Yes. Yes. Donald Trump would have done the exact same thing, in my personal opinion. He's been talking about this for months. And here's a fine line difference between the two, because I have heard that before. There's a difference between pardoning people that have never been convicted of a crime, have never been charged with a crime, and there's no real evidence that they committed a crime, compared to people that have already assaulted police officers. So to answer your question, sir, I believe Donald Trump would have done this either way. He would have done it. I really do believe that.
But we don't know. But we don't know that. Right?
Well, you asked me the question, which is a hypothetical, and I still can only give you my opinion. And I can tell, and I can tell you this: when you look at Kash Patel, who probably is going to be running the FBI, who's talked about going after Joe Biden's family. Okay, he talks about it in every interview he's done in the last year. Now, I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden's pardons. I'm going to be the first one to admit I don't like pardons to begin with. I'm not. And I criticize Joe Biden, but I also have far more understanding for somebody who pardons people that have never been convicted of a crime than someone who pardons people who have been openly convicted of physically assaulting police officers. There's a big difference there. Surely you would agree with me there, sir?
I do. So, and then you would agree with me then after Trump's first term, he should have pardoned his whole family.
So I would be more okay.
They weren't convicted.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I'm answering your question. I would be more okay with Donald Trump pardoning members of his family that have never been convicted or charged with a crime than pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists. Now, I don't like pardons to begin with. I don't think there should be something called pardons. I criticize Joe Biden's pardons, even though I'm more understanding about his son and that whole thing. But I would to answer your question.
His son can now buy firearms as of after having drugs and everything.
Well, think about those, sir. Think about the leader of the Oath Keepers. Think about the leader of the Proud Boys. Think about the Jacob Chansleys. Think about those.
None of those are the son of a president.
No, I understand that. But think about the people who can buy a gun today who physically assaulted police officers on January 6th. I would imagine.
Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden physically assaulted police officers?
Are you? He's definitely hit women. I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
Let's talk about that.
Not a cop. So
no, hold on a second. Can you please tell me any court case where Hunter Biden was convicted of assaulting a woman?
No, you're my bad. I do not have the exact court case.
So why would you say that then?
I apologize.
There was no court.
I apologize.
The reason why you don't have that court case in front of you is because there is no court case. Hunter Biden has never. No, wait. This is important. Hunter Biden has never been charged with assaulting a woman. Why would you say that?
He's never been accused?
So if I accuse you right now of molesting children, would you like us to talk about that? Would you like us to call her a child molester? Well, Brian Shapiro accused you. Sir, give me a break. Hunter Biden has never been charged, and there's no real evidence to prove that he ever put his hands on a woman. It's never presented in a courtroom.
And nobody's been charged with insurrection. So why are they in jail?
People have been charged, people have been charged with, and convicted, by the way, of seditious conspiracy. People have been convicted.
Insurrection.
Okay.
That's two different charges.
Whether you want to call it insurrection or not is beside the point.
No, the government calls it. The law calls it. There's a charge for insurrection.
Whether you think it's insurrection or not is beside the point. You just said Hunter.
No, the law says it's not insurrection.
Okay. The law also said that the names that I had mentioned assaulted and physically beat police officers, and then you want
to say they did insurrection?
I didn't bring up insurrection. You're bringing it up. What are you talking about? You just said Hunter Biden hit a woman, and then you said, well, I don't have the court case in front of me. I said, there is no court case. Why would you say he assaulted a woman, but yet you don't want to bring up those, and you care about the label insurrection? When a bunch of people storm the Capitol, beat police officers, say, hang Mike Pence, people were guilty of seditious conspiracy, they tried to overthrow a free and fair election, yet you come on this show with all due respect and you try to defend the January 6th insurrectionist, and then you say Hunter Biden physically assaulted women. Would you say Donald Trump is a sexual abuser, sir?
No, I don't know any of that.
You don't know. I find it. Hold on a second. So let's stop. You don't know, quote, any of that. So you claim, no, hold on. So you claim,
No, I don't have any court case.
okay, well, I know you don't have any brain cells either. You claim that,
Is there a court
you
case?
claim, why don't you be quiet and listen? You claim that Hunter Biden
I'll
physically
take a
struck,
court case.
you claim that Hunter Biden physically struck a woman. There is no court case about that because he didn't do it. And Donald Trump was found liable of sexual abuse based on a jury and the evidence that they saw. So what do you mean you don't know?
No, hold on. You mean they could use something in a court case? No judge has said you're convicted of sexual
The
assault.
judge
You need
in the
to go to
case,
jail.
excuse me, sir. The judge in the case, excuse me,
you're
sir.
doing it
I
wrong.
need you to listen because you seem to. I'm sure you listen to your Fox News and Newsmax. I can tell by your talking points. You see, the judge in the case, Judge Merchant in the case, described it as rape. A jury in a court of law, a jury of Donald Trump's peers, based on the evidence, found that Donald Trump was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. But wait, I'm not done. There are also, wait, I'm not done. I didn't ask you about Joe Biden. Why don't you remain on topic and let me educate you? 25 women have accused Donald Trump of sexually abusing them or raping them, including his ex-wife in a court deposition. Why don't you listen? In a court deposition under oath, Donald Trump's ex-wife said that he raped her. And what did he do? He paid her off to make it go away. So if your standard, by the way, is convictions, if your standard, excuse me, I'm not done yet. This is my show and not yours, buddy. If your standard is conviction, you dope, then why would you bring up Hunter Biden assaulted a woman? I'm just curious. If that's your standard, there must be a conviction. And even though if somebody's found liable, with Donald Trump was found liable of sexual abuse, why would you claim that Hunter Biden struck a woman? Please answer that question.
Because women have accused him of such.
Oh, okay. So I
because
understand. So you said a woman accused Hunter Biden of such. What about the 25 women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual abuse or rape? Do you call into radio shows and talk about that? Please answer that question.
And his whole family.
I'm asking you a specific question, and I need the MAGA brain to answer. You just said an accusation is credible. Would you say the 25 women that have accused Donald Trump of rape or sexual abuse? Why won't you bring that up? They accused him, right, sir? They accused him. What's the matter? Do you have a stutter?
Hunter Biden.
There is one woman that accused Joe Biden of sexual assault. Excuse me.
As the other 25.
Okay, I'm gonna finish now, sir. You see, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about. Tara Reid has changed her story 4 times, and here's a kicker for you, sir. Mm-hmm. Here's a kicker for you. Joe Biden. Excuse me, sir. Has Joe Biden ever been found liable for sexual abuse in a court of law? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question. Please answer. Yes or no?
I don't know.
You don't know because you're a moron. The answer is no. Yeah, you're a moron. The answer is no, but you're too stupid. Has Donald Trump ever been found liable for sexual abuse in a court of law? Yes or no?
So what was the court
Answer
case?
The question, dummy. Hey, dummy, answer the question.
I'm asking you.
Okay, no, you don't get to clarify because you're an idiot. You said Hunter Biden physically assaulted women. You're an idiot. We've proven that. You said you don't know if Joe Biden has ever been found liable for sexual abuse because you're a moron. The answer is no. My question to you is a yes or no answer. Has Donald Trump ever been found liable in a court of law of sexual abuse? Sir, it's a very simple question. Yes or no? Please clarify with a yes or no answer.
What was the question?
Sir, you are just a complete imbecile. Do I even give this guy, Nicole, do you want to ask him?
No, we're dealing with Pam Bondi here.
Oh my God. No, you know what? I'm in a really good mood today because Nicole's here. And poor Nicole. Sir, I'm going to ask you one more time, okay? Because this is just it's so fun to expose how stupid some of you people are. Has Donald Trump ever been found liable of sexual abuse? I would do hand language as well, but I don't know it, sir. Has he ever?
I don't know how many times you need me to say yes, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. So we've established you're an idiot. I had to ask you 6 times. Joe Biden's never been found liable for sexual abuse. Hunter Biden has never been charged or convicted of abusing women. You are a moron.
Okay, you know what's so crazy, Brian, is when I was on the right and I would be on social media like a lot of us are, and I'd watch these debates go down online between the right and the left, conservatives and liberals. And I was shocked at how hateful, ignorant, double standard the right responses were and how factual and typically kind and communicative and clear the left side was. And as an outside observer who was on the right side, I remember thinking, even if the left is wrong, the fact that they use facts and logic and are able to kindly explain and communicate to the side while the other one's just spewing rhetoric and assaults and insults and like couldn't actually engage a conversation was actually part of the reason that brought me over to the left side. So just like when I was listening to him kind of deny and dodge and question, and that is exactly what I grew up in. Like no one could answer a straight up
How did you
question.
deal with that?
I think that's eventually what got me out of it. It's like you can't answer a straight question.
1 out of 20 MAGA callers answer questions directly. I have to ask it 8 times, and they're so dumb. And he says Hunter Biden abused women. Just throw stuff at a wall and hope that it sticks.
Yes.
What did Hunter Biden do? Hunter Biden was addicted to drugs. He had a drug problem. He addressed it. He now helps people that are suffering from drugs. I have a lot of respect for Hunter Biden. He's a father. He's a husband. He's learned from his mistakes. But yet they want to be obsessed with Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
But yet they don't want to talk about Donald Trump's past.
Yes.
It's the definition of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Right? It's
No, you're
crazy. And morons like that guy who called in are the reason why, thank God there are morons like that you are making so much money and doing what you love to do. Yeah.
So I voted for Trump. I support Trump.
Okay.
But I will say he did lose the election. I think I'm like the second one that's ever said that to your show.
Right. Well, yeah, you're talking about the 2020 election, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he did lose. But my question was, or what I had to say, I think if Trump hadn't said the election was stolen and whatnot, January 6th wouldn't have happened.
Of course. I agree. Any logical person would say that. So let's have a conversation, because I actually enjoy having conversations with Trump supporters, and I'm not here to shame you, so long as it's respectful. So what was it about Donald Trump policy-wise that made you say, let's forget about his behavior for a moment. We'll get to that. What were the policies of the Democrats that worried you, where you said to yourself, okay, I'll vote for Donald Trump? And what are the Trump policies that you like, if you don't mind me asking?
Like all of us, a lot of us were concerned about the border and whatnot and everything like that. And he said that he would only start out with the criminals and whatnot. I didn't hear the churches and the schools, and that goes against what he said.
So let's start with the border. If you are concerned about the border, by the way, I'm concerned about the border too. So there's nothing wrong with that. Then why doesn't it bother you that, I guess, the bipartisan border bill, Trump was the one that did not want to put that one through, number one. And number two, he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it in 2016. We all know how that went down. So doesn't that bother you?
Yeah, that didn't get done, and then they tried to sell the wall and stuff like that.
Right. Listen, I'm not saying that your concerns aren't valid. They are. All I'm simply saying is, when you had a bipartisan border bill put in place, which wouldn't have solved all of our problems, but there's a reason why the Border Patrol endorsed the bill, because it would have helped, right? And Trump's answer is, let's deport 20 million people, which we know is not going to happen. It's a scare tactic. I don't think, and Donald Trump could have shut down the border when he was president. He didn't do so. So what makes you think like he's going to solve the border issues now? I guess that's my question to you, sir.
I know not every issue will get solved. There's going to be stuff that he said he'll do that he isn't going to do.
So give me something else. Give me something else, because we already discussed.
The reason why
go ahead.
Yeah. Is if we all say that elections were stolen. We all say the elections were stolen. And are you familiar with the Australia National Bank case where the people stole $20 million from the ATM?
I did hear. I did hear about that, but you and I agree. The election was not stolen in 2020, and Trump won.
Yeah, I mean, I have arguments with my family, different people about it. Like, we all have our own opinion. But the bank chose not to say anything about it because it would show that their bank wasn't secure. And if the elections were actually stolen, which I believe they weren't, can you imagine the repercussions that would come out if our government actually said that, yes, somebody cheated in the election?
But we know it wasn't. So let's focus on let's focus on these last 2 days. Pardoning insurrectionists that attacked police officers. Over 600 violent criminals. 600 of the 1,500 were violent criminals that committed violent acts that day. Are you comfortable with people that beat police officers, and Donald Trump saying, well, they've been in jail too long. Let's just pardon them. Are you okay with that?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with it.
Fair enough.
I think there's some people that didn't do horrible things or didn't do stuff that was bad.
I agree.
Yeah, I do.
I agree. What about?
But I think it should have been done by case
I agree.
basis and not a whole blanket.
I agree. He did not do that. He said that ICE can arrest people in churches and schools. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I mentioned that. I brought that up earlier. How
Yeah.
he said he was only going to do like the criminals and whatnot. No, I don't
Okay.
agree. I don't think we should go up and
I
search.
appreciate.
And
You're one of the few MAGA people who call into the show that answer questions directly, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Donald,
like when Jasmine
Yeah.
said that her husband was Swedish and whatnot.
right.
You know, what are they going to do? Just go out and see, like, hey, let me see your ID, give me your identification here legally.
So
No.
all this stuff that we agree on, and you sound like a reasonable guy. What was it about Kamala Harris that you said to yourself, I can't vote for her? Like what all these terrible things that Trump has done in just the last 2 days, which actually we agree on. What was it about Harris? I'm just curious because you seem like a nice guy, reasonable. What was it about her that you said, I can't vote for her?
When Kamala Harris did her what's that word I'm looking for? Where she conceded speech.
Right.
I think that was the real Kamala Harris. And if people would have saw that side of Kamala, she would have won. But I just think the people were picking on the different accents and everything like that, and just going back and forth, which Trump did also. But I think she was doomed from the start.
So you're saying, okay, so you didn't like the fact that you felt like she was scripted, but there's got to be something else, right? Like, what was it about Kamala that you said to yourself, policy-wise, I can't vote for her, and I'm going to vote for this guy who's a 34-count convicted felon? Like, what was it about her that you could not vote for her?
I just didn't find her to be real. I didn't find her to be truthful. I didn't agree.
Wait. Hold on. With all due respect, you didn't find her to be.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, you didn't find her to be real, and you didn't find her to be truthful. You're telling me Donald Trump is real and truthful? Who do you think is more truthful, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
I think as a politician, you can take them both with a grain of salt.
What do you mean? She conceded, with all due respect. She conceded the election.
No, I know I said that, and I said that's right, the Kamala that I like.
Understood. But you're saying she's not real, and you're saying that she's not truthful. If you could give me examples of her lying, I'm open to that. But I think most people in this country would say the person that's not real or truthful is the guy who puts on 8 layers of orange makeup every day, who still hasn't conceded the 2020 election. So give me something that Donald Trump is not, that Kamala Harris is the reason why you didn't vote for her. Give me a characteristic, a policy, something that I can't say, well, Donald Trump is worse, because I think we all could agree the person that lies more is Donald Trump. Help me out. Give me something else and we don't have to agree. I just want to hear from you. Give me something else that you don't like about Harris.
Just mainly the border stuff, the illegal immigrants. If you're gay, queer, anything like that, like, that's you. I don't agree with a lot of that stuff either that was going on that was being said, and the stuff about guns and everything else.
Okay, so let's just go one. Okay, so let's go one at a time. So you said, quote, the border stuff. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Biden administration was great when it came to the border, because they were not. It's an issue we've had in this country for a long time. But Kamala Harris was one of the people at the forefront, sitting with MAGA Republicans like the Langfords of the world, and putting together this border bill. Kamala Harris was also not the border czar. You know who was, and it wasn't her. And we've talked about the border, and we've talked about Donald Trump, and we've talked about his lies, right? We've talked about we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. So I think we both agree that both sides have not done a good job on the border issue. I'm just trying to understand, again, I'm going to repeat myself. You sound like a reasonable, nice guy. I appreciate the conversation. But you voted for a 34-count felon, a liable sexual abuser. Even you admit, which I appreciate, that Trump did not win the 2020 election. He is a threat to our democracy. He said he was going to pardon these I'm looking at terrorists, as I would call them, white supremacists.
Yeah, the Capitol should never have been stormed. What they should have stood out there and protested like people should. You had no reason to go break windows and go storm the Capitol. And
so we agree on that. But there was literally a bill that was ready to go, right? There was a bill that was ready, and MAGA Republicans helped put that bill together. And Kamala Harris, right? And Kamala Harris said if she won the election, which she didn't, if she did win, she would get those MAGA Republicans back at the table. What has Donald Trump done in these executive orders to address inflation, to lower the cost of prescription drugs, to lower the cost of gas prices, which, by the way, have gone up the last couple of days?
If I'm not mistaken, he signed signed an executive order that actually reversed the bill that Joe Biden signed.
When it comes to lower the cost of medication. Yes, I agree.
I'm aware of the bill for border crossing.
Yes.
But there was also other stuff in there. I think if border is such an issue on both sides, and they should come together and sit down. It's like, this is the only thing we're going to talk about today.
I agree with you. Okay, but
first.
I agree with you, my friend. But this is why you're making my point for me. Kamala Harris did do that. She did that. She got Langford and MAGA Republicans to sit at the table, a bipartisan border bill. They had the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The guy who you voted for failed to be able to do that in his first term. They had more bipartisan gun legislation than we've had in 30 years. The CHIPS and Science Act, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, a cap on insulin at $35. Biden's not perfect. Kamala Harris is not perfect. I have my criticisms of them, but they got a lot accomplished, my man. What the hell did Donald Trump, what is he going to do and what has he done? And he said he was going to end the war in the Ukraine in 24 hours. It's day 2 now. Does he just want innocent people to die? He said he would end the war in 24 hours. He's done nothing there except pardon a bunch of middle-aged white insurrectionists, making it more expensive for people when it comes to prescription drugs. I'm just talking about the last 2 days. Can you say to yourself, maybe I might have made a mistake? Maybe I shouldn't have voted for him based on just the last 48 hours? Or is that fair? You tell me.
Yeah, that's a fair question for sure. Okay. And right now it's still early on. And if I'm wrong, I will gladly admit that I'm wrong. I'd like to give the guy a chance at least, although the last 24 hours he has failed multiple policies he said he's going to do.
Right. Well,
and the only thing so far that he has is a ceasefire as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, and that was Joe Biden's framework, which was implemented, as you know, back in May. Well, listen, I will say this. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to have this dialogue and maybe say, hey, might have been wrong, and I don't agree with this, and this. That's more than I can say for a lot of other people that would consider themselves MAGA Republicans. So I do appreciate your bravery of calling into this show, and you're welcome to call back anytime.
Called in not to go this far. I was actually just wanted to call and talk about the whole bank thing and compare it to our election. So I was totally unprepared for this, but
that's
at least I wasn't one of the assholes who got yelled off the show. So.
Well, that's because you treated me with respect. And when you treat me with respect and you actually answer my questions, which, by the way, you did, then I'm always going
to do as best I could. I felt I could do better.
No,
on answering questions.
But you answered my questions. I didn't have to. If you listen to the show regularly, which I hope you do.
I do. I listen to it quite a bit.
So you would understand then that
almost every day.
Well, thank you. Then you would understand that there are MAGA Republicans that call in, and I literally have to ask them the same question 7 or 8 times. Sir, I'm glad you're not.
No, I tried to the question best that I could, but I still feel I was unprepared for some of your questions. And like most people, we can bring up Kamala Harris, and we say that, right. And I felt like I did that in some ways. The same with the questions about Donald Trump you asked me.
No, listen, it's okay. You did fine, and I appreciate you calling in. And please, sir, you're welcome to call back anytime. In fact, I would welcome it. So please call back in again.
It seems that there's the increase in fires is kind of like a little bit scary. Like I know that fires have been happening in California for a long time, but it's in the last 10 years it really seems to be getting out of control. And I'm wondering if you guys feel like, the people in charge could have done a little bit more in preparation of what we're dealing with right now.
So I think it's very fair to say that things maybe could have been done a little bit differently to help prevent something like this from happening. I don't think that is an unfair statement to make, but I think it is a stretch to say that this is all on Gavin Newsom. It's DEI hires, it's Democrat policies, right? We've had catastrophes and horrible things that have happened, disasters all over the country. And in my personal opinion, look after 9/11. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, David, right? So right after 9/11, everybody wasn't criticizing George W. Bush and Condoleezza Rice for at least a week anyway. The country came together.
Yes.
And I'm not a George W. Bush fan, but when he took that...
But ultimately, we did realize Dick Cheney made some really bad decisions after 9/11. And that,
And that's,
okay. I guess what I'm wondering is...
So here, hold on. But David, let me just finish my point, and then you can take the floor here. The point I'm trying to make is this. In the days and weeks after an event that is still going on, there are people, their homes are burning right now as we speak. And Donald Trump is making it all about politics. He's saying he's not even going to help and send aid unless they pass a voter ID law. I'm not saying what you're saying is unreasonable. I think it's fair to have some criticism. It's also fair to say that 100-mile-per-hour winds and the big drought that they've experienced, most of, I think in the last 60 years, might have also played a role. I'm not saying it's not fair to point fingers. What I am saying is it's not fair to withhold aid and play politics when people are dying and losing their homes, David. Surely you would agree with me on that.
Do you have to wonder whether or not the people that were in charge before this happened are the right people to lead us now that it has happened? And I guess my question for you is, do you think Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom survived this?
You're talking about politically, I would assume.
Well, I mean, the fire came through and there was no water in the Pacific Palisades Reservoir. I mean,
So if you speak to people, and by the way, the investigation is still ongoing, so there's no thorough answers as to why this could have happened. So I think it's very important to wait until that is finished. But if you talk to many of the people that are on the ground that are actually experts, they would say that one reservoir would not have stopped these fires. So again, I go back to saying what I said earlier. Now is not the time to talk about the political future, in my opinion, of Gavin Newsom or the mayor of LA. Now is the time to help the victims, help their families, and help them rebuild. There should be a thorough investigation, which there will be. Do you not agree with me on that?
I kind of feel like it's not just the reservoir. I kind of feel like the whole policy around water in California is archaic. It's like, this isn't 1974. Like, amazing advances have been made in water technology.
David, I don't live in California. Courtney, why don't you respond to what
I don't actually know what part he's talking about. What I wanted to talk about, though, was the original question, which was climate change is a huge. So you're seeing in 10 years, yes, we've always had fires, but you're seeing a huge climate change. These winds that we're getting, these Santa Ana winds, 100 miles an hour, that's a level 2 hurricane level winds in California. But it's not, yes, California is greatly impacted, but we're seeing this across the globe. We're seeing these impacts of huge natural disasters that are happening because of this climate change that we are now going to remove ourselves from making any change in this.
Courtney, I agree with that.
I just watched an old video from John Coleman, who was the founder of the Weather Channel, and the climate change, the global warming, it's a whole nother conversation, and I just feel like.
What do you mean it's a whole nother conversation? We're talking about the fire and cause and effect. Let me ask you a question. David?
Because fires have been happening in California for 100 years, and you can look at a map that the LA Times did in 2018.
Yes.
And it shows you
I saw that.
Every fire for the past 100 years. I mean, this is not anything new. Okay. And however, the government doesn't seem to be caught up with the reality of what's going on.
Okay. I think you bring up some fair points, David, but I want to ask you what I think is an important question. And it's not about whataboutism. It is about, are we going to treat both sides the same? I don't know who you voted for. I don't know what political party you're in. Don't care. I'm going to ask you this question. We are one of the richest countries in the world, and per capita, we lost more people from COVID than almost any other country in the world. Donald Trump said 10 cases down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. Would you have any of the same criticism you appear to have for Gavin Newsom and the mayor of LA as to Donald Trump when he was in office during COVID?
I think the whole COVID situation, I'd really love to get to the bottom of how that started.
Okay, but hold on.
Judgment
on. Hold on. So 5 years later, you're not willing to give, actually more than that, you're not willing to put much of any criticism on Donald Trump, and you say, boy, I'd like to get to the bottom of it. I wish they would continue to investigate. It sounds like that's what you're saying. But yet we're still in the middle of these fires in California, and you're criticizing Gavin Newsom and the mayor of LA. Do you see the double standard?
Are these the people that we need to lead us?
Let's ask that about, did you think Donald Trump is the leader that we need, sir, when per capita we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID when Donald Trump left office? He said 10 cases down to 0.
Well,
hold on a second. No, it does matter because it's a double standard with people like you, and it frustrates me. So I'm going to ask you
this. Wait a second, 77 million people? There's something else deeper going on here.
What do you mean 77 million people? We lost a couple million people to COVID. Why is it that people like you make it a double standard? When it comes to the fires that are still going on in California, you want accountability now. But 5 years after COVID, 5 years after Donald Trump took office, well, we need to look into more things. Why won't you admit that Donald Trump did a terrible job? Hold on a second. Donald Trump did a terrible job with COVID. He turned COVID press conferences into campaign rallies. He talked about injecting yourself with disinfectant. And then he takes his little orange fingers and he walks with his orange feet and gets a COVID vaccine privately with Melania Trump. Why won't you give any criticism to millions of people that died of COVID and the handling of COVID under Donald Trump? But then in the middle of this whole thing, why won't you do that?
It's simple. The reason is because I just told you about how the LA Times put out this.
I'm not
map of
asking
fires
you
for the
about
past
that. I'm
100
not
years.
asking you.
Let me finish.
No,
let me finish.
but you're not. No.
COVID-19 was not predictable.
Oh.
COVID-19 came out of nowhere.
Okay, so let's just say you're right. COVID was not, it came out of nowhere. Okay, I'm not asking you about that. And by the way, your excuse is pathetic. Here's why. Barack Obama left Donald Trump a pandemic, had to deal with a pandemic. He left him a playbook. So don't you give me the excuse that, well, it came out of nowhere. Donald Trump has admitted that Barack Obama and his administration left him a playbook on how to deal with a pandemic. So your excuses are false. The reason why I'm getting frustrated with you, sir, and you can tell by my voice, is because it's always a double standard with you people. The fires are still going on. They haven't even really started the investigation yet, let alone finished it. Yet 5 or 6 years, 5 years after Donald Trump left office and we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID, all you people do is make excuses for him. Why can't you just say his handling of COVID was terrible? Why can't you just say that, sir, as we pod you back up? Can you please?
The right leaders to move it. Are you asking yourself that question?
I just asked you a question. Why don't you answer it for the first time?
I just told you. I feel like it's a very different. It's apples to oranges. You're
okay.
talking about fires that are happening in California for 100 years we know of, at the very least.
We've had pandemics before.
Spanish flu was 1917. Once every 100 years, maybe.
So
maybe
do you think Donald Trump did a good job in handling COVID? Yes or no?
I think it's a different situation.
Do you think Donald Trump? Do you think? I'm going to make you answer the question.
I don't know if he did a bad job.
You don't know. You don't know if he did a bad job. We're one of the richest countries in the world. Per capita, we had more deaths than almost any other country in the world. And you can't answer whether Donald Trump did a good job in handling with COVID. This is a double standard, sir, and you're playing politics. It's a double standard. Admit it.
The 2020 election was the most impaired election.
Who won the 2020 election?
It's a great question.
No, it's not a great question. Who won the 2020 election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Impaired election of my lifetime.
Who won the
1960 was also impaired.
You don't know.
The 1960 election.
The question wasn't about who won the 1960 election or whatever the stupid question you're asking. The question was who won the 2000. Do you see what I have to deal with every day with these people?
No, because they can't answer a damn question.
No,
it's
they
always
won't.
That's the thing, though. They always defend. The goalpost moves and moves and moves and moves and moves, and we defend and we defend and we defend.
My question is.
You won't answer.
No, they think about Elon's behavior.
The right
Let's
people to lead us.
You don't ask another question. You've lost that privilege because you haven't answered one of mine. I'm going to ask it again. Who won the 2020 election? Answer the question. And don't give me a stupid answer like, I don't know. You know who won. Who won the 2020 election? Don't answer a question by asking it. Answer the damn question.
Is there allowed to be any context to the answer?
No.
Yes or no question.
No,
right.
it's the Earth.
Right. And that's
okay,
why you guys
ready? Here we go. Is the Earth round or flat?
This is not a debate.
Is the Earth round or flat, sir? Answer the question.
I believe it's round.
You believe it's round?
Believe it.
Yeah, he believes it's round. Oh my God. No, sir, it's not what you believe. The Earth is round, and Joe Biden won a free and fair election. How do we know that, sir? Because there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election. Nothing was proven in court. That's how we know that. You're going to defend Donald Trump and wear the Donald Trump knee pads in every single situation, okay? You're obviously very political. You care more about outing Gavin Newsom than clearly you care about the people that have lost their homes. You're not willing to put any accountability with anything Donald Trump does. Let me guess, you're also okay with Donald Trump pardoning January 6th insurrectionists that beat police officers. Are you okay with those pardons as well, sir?
It's funny because I look at what Biden did with the crime.
Didn't ask, hey, Mr. Whataboutism.
Come on.
Mr. Whataboutism. I didn't ask you about Joe Biden. I'm going to try to ask him another question, which he won't answer. He won't answer any of my questions.
Answer anything.
Are you okay with Donald Trump pardoning the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys, those who were convicted of seditious conspiracy, and those who beat police officers? The question has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Are you okay with Donald Trump's pardons of these people? Yes or no?
I'm okay with everybody that's been pardoned in the last 3 months being put in a cage and having a Royal Rumble.
All right. Well, guess what? I think you should be put in a cage and somebody should have a Royal Rumble with you because you are embarrassing, David. You are embarrassing. You won't answer any direct questions. You won't say who won the 2020 election. When asked about how Donald Trump handled COVID, you don't want to put any responsibility on him, but you want to put all the responsibility on Gavin Newsom. I want Courtney to give the last word on your statements, David. Go ahead.
Man, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's like they can't. That's the thing. I have so many things to say and nothing to say all at the same time. They always move the goalposts, right? Like it's always a defend. And the thing that I think is so interesting is why defend somebody who doesn't want anything that's best for you? Doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your well-being, doesn't care about anything. Something I found interesting with the fires and the way that people voted is that the people who have voted for Trump were nowhere to be found with helping people and victims and supporting. They were at home. They were making a political statement, and it goes along with what they're saying.
It's incredible, isn't it, Courtney, that
Yeah.
I try to be reasonable with these people. And I say, okay, if you want to point fingers, let the investigation happen. But when it comes to COVID, 5 years later, after Trump left office, doesn't want to put any responsibility on Donald Trump and wants, we need to learn some more things. But while these fires are happening, he wants to put all of it on Gavin Newsom. These people have a double standard that was proven.
Yes. And pandemics are predictable. We've known about them. We have playbooks and we
Obama
saw it
gave
happening.
him a playbook.
Yes, we saw it happening in China. We had time to be like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put things in place. We could have started that playbook before it would have hit the U.S. in the way that it did.
I think I'm going to label that call because the calls are pretty popular when I put them on social media. You can think of another one, Courtney, let me know. MAGA double standard proven in real time.
Yeah, come on. Come on in here. Let's have a conversation. How you doing? Sure.
Please.
You're innocent? Sure. Well, I don't think I have. I don't know you, sir. I don't know if I have to. You're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Do we agree on that?
The camera's right here, by the way.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Here, I can go.
Do we agree with that? Let's start there, hopefully where we agree. You're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we agree on that. Trump has 3 more indictments on the way. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with me that whether you disagree with the outcome, Donald Trump is a 34-count convicted felon? Can we agree on that?
That depends on your perspective.
My perspective is I trust the jury and our justice system.
You trust
and I respect it, even though I might not agree with it. Like, for example, OJ.
Okay, I've got a question for you. No, OJ was guilty. Okay, OJ was guilty, but he had. Excuse me. Let me finish. Mm-hmm. OJ was guilty. The evidence was overwhelming. His attorneys were able to. He had great attorneys.
He was liable for double murder.
Right, he was liable
but
for
you didn't
it.
Answer my question, to be fair. Is Donald Trump, even though you might disagree with it, I would imagine you do, and you have the right to, is Donald Trump a convicted felon?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, I respect you being honest.
How?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how payoffs and things like that are
Sure, I can
illegal.
Answer that. Sure.
How are they illegal?
I can answer that.
Please.
So if you falsify business records, which he clearly did, that was well, you can laugh, but it's still against the law.
It's against the law.
It's against the law.
Is it a felony or
Yes.
a misdemeanor?
Yes, it is a felony according to the state of law.
Show me.
What do you mean, show you?
Show me.
You look at
have a cell phone.
Look at the counts.
Say.
Yeah,
That's what the court's document says.
I'm not making that up.
Counts.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's forget about the criminality of Donald Trump.
The criminality.
Let's forget about that. Let's assume he's not a criminal. No, wait. Hear my
Seriously,
question.
the
What about the
criminality.
behavior? What about the behavior?
The behavior.
Yeah.
Okay,
What about the
that's his behavior. He's basic New Yorker.
A basic
If you've
New Yorker
ever- if
cheats
you've
on his
ever
wife
met-
2 weeks after his wife has a
Are
child.
Are you kidding?
A basic New Yorker has 30 women accusing him of sexual assault or rape. A basic New Yorker, sir.
Are you going to lecture me or allow
Well,
me
you
to
said
respond?
basic New
Are you
Yorker.
going to
I'm
allow
from
me
New
to
York.
respond?
That's offensive. I know you
You're
wouldn't
from,
believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe
Manhattan.
it. The Celtics.
Yeah. Okay.
All
So
right.
I'm the liar,
So
but Donald Trump is
basically-
the honest guy.
Really?
I
Well,
understand.
Men and women, basically, men and women cheating are different because a man,
Okay. I'll give you
especially
that.
if he has the resources like Trump,
Sure.
can get a plethora of women and sleep with them and
So let's-
not feel
for-
anything.
For argument's
A
sake, I'll
man-
agree with you.
Wait, can I actually butt in real quick?
And a woman
Yeah.
is more, let's say,
hold on, I got
physical, or
Okay.
they're more emotionally attached.
Understood. Well, what about sexual
men.
abuse and sexual assault?
Sexual
He's found
abuse.
liable for sexual abuse in a
Liable.
courtroom, a jury of his peers.
So there's no type of bias.
So
There's no type of political bias.
would you say the
in New
same
York.
thing if Hunter Biden is convicted? Would you say it's political
There's
bias?
actually evidence.
So you don't think the
backing
jury
it.
saw evidence in that E. Jean
Did
Carroll
they?
case and made a decision based on that?
They made a decision based on a number of different things. You know, they,
Okay,
they
so
were
we
given
agree- we
weird
agree to
instructions.
disagree. I understand.
And
Yeah.
they're given strange instructions. You know, you can't see the physical instructions. Well, you'll just have to memorize them.
They never
and
said you
things
can't
like
see
that.
physical instructions. That was never given to the judge. The judge never said that in the court, a jury of his peers. Now, even if you disagree with that, let me ask you another question. I don't respect John McCain because he was captured, Donald Trump said, who dodged the military 3 times. What would you say about a man who served in our military honorably and was a POW for 5 years, and then the guy who dodges the military 3 times says, I don't respect you because you were captured? Don't you think that's beneath the presidency to make a statement like that? By the way, he said it on video. You've heard it. I know you have. Don't you think that's a despicable statement to make? Or to be talking about women's looks, or attacking Gold Star families, or attacking Ted Cruz's wife for her looks, and having nicknames for everybody that disagrees with you, saying he wants to rip up parts of the Constitution?
Frankly, I don't care what he does as long as his policies benefit me. I could afford a lot of things. My salary now should be able to afford all of my bills.
Which policy are you referring to?
Most of his economic policies.
Which economic policy?
Which economic policy? I'm not going to get specific because I don't remember.
Are you middle class?
Excuse me. We're having a conversation, please.
It's okay. It's all good.
I just-
This is
I-
a good
Yes, I'm
conversation.
middle class.
Okay, so just real
So,
quick.
so, and I'm not going to inject race into this, obviously, because I'm sure you guys do enough of that.
No.
I'm surprised you haven't asked me if Trump, some of his statements were racist.
Why did he have the whitest administration in the history of this country?
Oh, wow. See, I knew that was coming.
Well, you're the one who just brought up race.
I did. I
didn't
knew if I said something about it, it was coming.
Well, I'm asking
I would
you a
say,
question.
I would say
You don't
both
think that's a
Biden
fair
and
question?
Trump are.
Anyway, back to what I was saying about the economy and
Yes,
things,
sir.
how we're going.
Yes, sir.
I had never seen my 401k grow as quickly as it had. So if Trump is a deplorable person,
Well,
fine.
he is. Yes, he is.
I could care less.
You could care less.
Biden is not doing anything, well, not for Americans.
Can I give you some stats, and maybe we can discuss that if you'd like?
Your stats are inflated. My wife is waiting for me.
I
I'd
didn't
love
even-
to stay here with you.
I didn't even
for
give
the
you a
rest of the day.
stat, and you just assumed that the stat that I was going to
No, I
give you
don't-
is
I don't
inflated.
assume it.
Did
I
Trump
can-
win the
you know what?
2020 election?
If Joe Biden is the most popular president in history,
Most votes. Yeah.
really, the 44th he's the 44th. No, 44th. I'm sorry, the 46th. He was the 44th white man to be elected. He's more popular than Barack Obama.
Okay, but did he win? Yes. or
Was
no?
Donald Trump more popular than Barack Obama?